Good morning, everyone. Morning, and welcome to the Federal Marketplace Industry Day. Great to see everyone here, and it was so nice that DOI, that this auditorium was available, and that DOI is allowing us to be here. We opened this Industry Day originally in the GSA auditorium and sold out in 4 hours. So we should have a full house here today. We also sold out the space. So I think we'll have people coming in and out during the day, and so just be mindful of that. We've got a great agenda for you here today. We've got a couple of really nice panels. We've got our administrator is here to start off the day. Our commissioner, our FAS Commissioner Alan Thomas, will close out. They've got some great information about sort of the vision for the federal marketplace, everything that entails, how we intend to move forward with that this year and into the next year. And so without delay, I have the honor of introducing the GSA Administrator, Emily Murphy.
Good morning. Thanks, Crystal, for the introduction. I'm really glad to be here with all of you today and to see so much interest in GSA's efforts to modernize, simplify, and make it, frankly, just easier to do business with the federal government. We want to make it easier for our agency customers to buy from GSA. You shouldn't need a PhD in GSA to find the solution you want. So as today's my 1-year anniversary as the GSA Administrator, I can't think of a better way. Thank you. I can't think of a better way to celebrate it, though, than to continue our dialogue with industry about the future of the federal marketplace. As I share my vision today for the federal marketplace, I want to make one point. One of the biggest risks to any transformative effort, especially in procurement, is the unknown unknown. And we've got a lot of expertise here in this room. I want to really encourage you, if you see one of those unknown unknowns, speak up, raise your hand, talk to us about it. This is our chance to make sure that this is a success. I'm always hesitant to say it's our chance to get it right, because I promise not to give the get it right speech anymore, but this is our chance to get it right. Your feedback's really critical. So let's talk about what is the federal marketplace. It brings together a lot of initiatives to make procurement better. And just frankly smarter. For customer agencies, it means we're using data analytics to get actionable insights to make it easier to find and buy solutions on the schedules. For vendors, it will make it easier to offer those solutions in a way that best fits their technology and the way their customers actually want to buy things. And it'll make it easier across GSA to find ways we can continue to improve and reduce duplication, increase competition, improve transparency, provide better consistency, and streamline all of our processes. In developing this broader federal marketplace initiative, we've identified 30 connected projects that will improve the buying and selling experience. We're not starting on all 30 today. Right now, we're prioritizing what we feel adds the greatest value, and schedules transformation is the top of that list. All right, schedules have evolved. If you think back to the origin of schedules when they were really lists of supplies to services, and we're really working on solutions at this point in time. And it also means we're going from 24 schedules to 1 schedule. By consolidating to 1 schedule, we'll eliminate the need for our industry partners to deal with multiple schedules, multiple contracting officers, multiple sets of terms and conditions, and really just have duplicative efforts across the board, which are burdensome and complicated for all the parties involved. They'll allow industry to bring products and services to the table from the same entry point, and it'll remove potential barriers to entry for small businesses interested in doing business with the federal government, providing value across our offerings. We're working to create this single schedule this fiscal year, and we're really looking forward to the feedback that we'll receive from today's panels to help make sure we get this right. Transforming our schedules is, frankly, just overdue. And it's really exciting. But it's only a piece of the broader federal marketplace strategy. Beyond the multiple award schedule reform, we need to do more to create value. We need to improve how we manage our catalogs. We need to improve our contract writing system. We need to focus on with the new authority we have for unpriced services contracts and incorporate that so that we can really focus on the technical qualifications of vendors and drive down pricing at the task order level when it matters the most. We need to reform eBuy to make it easier to use. And we have the e-commerce and e-platform discussion going on right now with the RFI open for public comment until December 21st. So our phase 2 report is due in March, and with the goal of having a prototype in place by the end of the calendar year of 2019. We're also going to reduce our internal duplication, which means that PBS will become a better customer of the Federal Acquisition Service. It means that our own systems will work more elegantly together. It means that our systems will reflect the business processes that we want rather than having our business processes reflect the systems we have. And it means we're going to be able to really leverage our own workforce. We've got wonderful 1102s, and we want to take them from doing data entry to doing data analytics and using it to make sure that we get the right solution for all of our partners. All of these initiatives are designed to bring value to you, our partners and our stakeholders. So while I'm excited to be here today with all of our industry partners, GSA success also relies on its relationship with our customer agencies. And I want to say that I think that the relationship is really strong. We've got a great relationship with our customers, which I think is a true testament to the leadership within the Federal Acquisition Service. In fact, in my 20 years of working with GSA and in government contracting, I think this is the strongest I've seen the relationship between GSA and DoD. I really want to especially thank the FAST leadership, including Stephanie Schutt, Laura Stanton, Judith Zawatsky, Becky Kosis, Mark Lee, Kyle Todd, Crystal Philcox, and Commissioner Alan Thomas. I just have to give them a round of applause. They made my first year wonderful. This talented and dedicated leadership team is critical to achieving success, and we've had a lot of success so far. In the last year, GSA delivered $6.8 billion in savings. We've worked to simplify our processes, resulting in smarter government, the improvements to the schedules program with the order level materials rule, with the commercial supplier agreements. We're implementing robotics process automation. We're reducing the burden on our vendors, on our customers, and on our employees. And we're working to really drive satisfaction, data-driven decision-making, better pricing for those customers, and frankly, just ease of doing business for all the parties involved. It's our goal to thrill our customers, and to do that, we need to thrill our vendors and make sure that we are your portal of choice. So in closing, I hope that you have a better idea of what GSA is focusing on today and what we'll be doing in the next year in the federal marketplace strategy. And I hope that we can count on you to pursue this, keep this momentum going, and have a great fiscal 19 and a great fiscal 20, and really continue to deliver on that success. I'd love to take some questions, though, while I'm here today, so if anyone's got something they want to raise. I did ask at the beginning if you're aware of one of those unknown unknowns, please speak up.
And for folks in the audience, we have 4 mics, or you can raise your hand and Sam will come bring a mic to you.
Good morning, Emily. Thank you for being here. My name is Stephanie. I'm from Federal Contracts Corp. We're in Tampa, Florida, and we sell heavy equipment. We have 4 different schedules.
Okay.
One of the concerns that we have is that in combining 4 different schedules, which I think is a fantastic idea, how do you determine what regulations stay, what regulations go? Because some of the regulations on some of the schedules are working for us, and some of them on some of the other schedules would not work. A big part of the issue, or a big issue that I see that may be one of those unknown unknowns, is that currently small businesses in the heavy equipment industry are measured and determined to be small based on a different metric for rental versus sales. So if you sell, it's based on number of employees, and if you rent, it's based on dollar volume. I see that as an issue when combining the schedules.
So one of the ways that GSA is looking at combining the schedules, first of all, I want to give credit to Stephanie Schutt. One of the things she did when we first were looking at this initiative was try and map out all the terms and conditions across the schedules and to continue to work, to see where we have variations and why those exist and how we're going to drive it to a single term. These were not just created because someone felt like it one day. They have their rep. But I think that another way that she's been looking at schedules reform is how do we make it easier and not have this NAICS code confusion. So one of the areas that I think that you're going to talk about later today is the opportunity to maybe move away from SINs to NAICS. So that'll make it easier for those small businesses to better identify who's small, represent themselves and make it clear if you're doing the purchase or the lease, and make it just frankly an easier process for you. It's also one of the reasons, though, that customers who have multiple, or vendors who have multiple schedules will be the last group to transition, because we know that there's not going to be a one-size-fits-all solution for those companies.
Thanks.
Thanks.
You very much.
Hi.
Stephanie, I get that right, please.
Good morning.
Morning.
How is this going to affect the VA FSS?
I'm sorry, is it going to act the?
The VA FSS, so Schedule 65, is that included in this, or will they maintain separately?
So VA is still operating under a delegation of authority from GSA. We do talk to them about how they could better leverage our tools, and I think that as we evolve our tools, hopefully that'll make it, that they'll be interested in using those, but I don't think it's going to have an immediate effect on the VA schedules.
Okay. And what about our existing contracting officer, like our schedules are managed out of Southwest Acquisition currently? Will you still maintain the separate centers, or?
So one of the initiatives GSA's looked at is how do we leverage our 1102s? And we've got great contracting officers, as you mentioned, in the Southwest region. We've got great contracting officers across the country. This will allow you, you'll still have one primary contracting officer, and you'll be dealing business with that individual, and people will keep their same area of focus, at least to begin with, but it'll allow us to do some rebalancing so that if there's additional work in one area, where rather than having to reassign things between regions or between categories, it'll be a lot smoother of a transition as well. And it's going to mean, though, that we have to do a lot of work on change management to make sure that our workforce gets the support it needs and that we give them the tools, because this is about really giving them the opportunity to do higher value work also, and make sure that we transform them into the really business leaders that they're meant to be.
Okay, so not necessarily a change.
I can't guarantee that your contracting officer will remain the same, but I don't think there's we're not anticipating that if you only have one schedule with one contracting officer right now that would change.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah, thanks. I've got time for one more question, I'm told. And someone is jogging down to ask one, so.
Good morning, thank you for having this Industry Day. Ted Erlewine, High Sierra Consulting out of Bishop, California.
Okay.
When you talk about having one contracting officer for the combined schedules, a lot of contracting officers today have a specific expertise, 48's transportation, 72, furniture, hardware, security down in Fort Worth. How are you going to combine the expertise or determine a contracting officer who is now going to be overseeing all SINs, all what is now schedules?
So if you look across our schedules, there only are about 1,500 schedulers. Tell me if I'm getting this wrong, Stephanie. There are only about 1,500 who have multiple schedules. So it's a smaller universe of individuals. It's more, we've been concerned that the companies aren't going and pursuing another SIN that makes sense for them because they don't want to cross over that schedule's barrier. So I think that for those who do have, for our contracting officers who are going to be working now across schedules, we're going to try and work with them to make sure that they have access to that body of knowledge and to the training and to make sure that the resources that exist within GSA so that they're going to continue to be able to administer the contract effectively. I think it's actually going to be a great opportunity, though, for us to make sure that there's a standard experience across GSA, that you're not having one interpretation made on one of a clause on one schedule and another on a different schedule.
that's going to be an advantage too, because I see that one schedule does it one way, another schedule does it another way, even though we're supposed to be, consistency. So I see that as a definite advantage as well. Thank you.
Well, thank you all so much for letting me join you this morning. I hope that it's going to be a really valuable day. I look forward to hearing the results of the Industry Day and continuing this dialogue for the next several years. So thank you very much for joining us.
All right, thank you, Emily. A big thanks to Emily for joining us this morning, sharing her vision for the federal marketplace. My name is Crystal Philcox. I'm the Assistant Commissioner for Enterprise Strategy Management at the Federal Acquisition Service, and I recently got this assignment, and so in talking with our commissioner about really what this was, I was trying to formulate in my mind, right, what is federal marketplace, and what is that strategy? It's really an integrated set of policy, process, and technology improvements that help FAS establish a seamless, people-centric buying and selling experience that enables mission-driven acquisition across government. So I'm an English major. I'm going to take the verb and the object from that sentence. It's really about establishing an experience. And so I want to stop and emphasize that we're doing that in a people-centric way. That's an important word in that sentence. So when FAS set off on this journey to sort of reimagine the acquisition experience, we very quickly realized that that the needs of our stakeholders were extremely important. We wanted to co-design our solutions in this marketplace, and that was the only way we were really going to be successful. So we rolled up our sleeves. We dug into a lot of the research that and the feedback that already existed inside FAS and through our various studies, customer loyalty surveys, supplier relationship management surveys. We had done a lot of journey mapping and other data sources. And then we took a look at the gaps in that data and that research that we had in-house that really helped us guide the development and the execution of a research plan. So once we had identified those gaps, we then went out and conducted dozens of interviews with buyers and suppliers to really understand the current experience that they were having, identify those pain points so that we could address potential solutions. We also, with the help of our Chief Customer Officer, we went to the lab at OPM and got a deeper understanding of human-centered design, which is really this iterative, sort of customer-centric approach to problem solving, and we're trying to really keep that at the center of our process. So that has really been a lot of the last year. I want to thank Kay Ely and Laura Stanton for their work on that. But when people hear human-centered design, they sometimes think that just applies to systems, and we're really focusing on that principle, that human-centered design principle, in all aspects of our strategy. So it really focusing this reimagined federal marketplace on policy, process, and technology, and so it's a lot more than just focusing on individual contracts, on improving individual contracts. And a lot of what we uncovered in the research isn't new or surprising. In fact, we heard a lot of it at there was a FAS Industry Day that had contract writing system, TTS. Heard a lot of it there again, and so we're starting to see this pattern of feedback that we're getting, so advances in technology, increasing complexity in our purchasing practices, duplication of contracts, our reliance on legacy systems, all of those things we're hearing have resulted in sort of this cumbersome, challenging experience for both buyers and sellers in the federal marketplace.
So we are, working side by side with our stakeholders. We're co-designing solutions at this point, and to some of these, challenges that we've heard from folks. And that is really what the federal marketplace is about, and that's what we're calling the marketplace experience and the federal marketplace strategy. And that experience is really the foundation of our strategy. So what does that mean exactly? Well, before we make major policy changes or system investments, we're not only going to ask ourselves, but you, our valued partners, a number of questions, right? We will be out continually iterating the customer input that we're getting as we are starting to make improvements. So things like, will this policy change enable industry to bring more competitive solutions to government? Does this system enhancement simplify onboarding, ensure transparency? Does it maximize automation? Does this process improvement increase industry's access to government contract vehicles? Will this new feature make it simpler for industry to match their solutions to government requirements? So human-centered design, our goal with that is to make sure that our stakeholders have the opportunity to not only tell us what's wrong, but to help us identify and frame the problems and then participate in prototyping solutions. So today is really just one of many opportunities in the months and years ahead when we want to gather your candid feedback and incorporate those ideas into our strategy. We have, in addition to this room, I will say, when I came on stage, we had 830 folks also online today. So a lot of interest in this, and you should see us reaching out over the next few months and over the next year and a half or so to get your feedback. So looking ahead, right? The federal marketplace is not just sort of nice ideas. I know Emily mentioned these 30 projects, right, that are ongoing, and part of the role of the federal marketplace is really to prioritize those, to understand the dependencies between them, to make sure that policy decisions are coming out that support us moving forward. So we've got a couple of panels today that are going to talk about a couple of the projects that are under the federal marketplace or involved in the federal marketplace. One is the future of multiple award schedules, and the other is phase 2 of the commercial platforms initiative. That'll be this afternoon. So Alan will talk about these initiatives as well as a couple of other key cornerstone initiatives that are part of the federal marketplace. I'll talk about those later this afternoon. But these two efforts really are massive undertakings on their own, and we're looking really across the organization to identify and align dependencies among these projects, and in the areas of both of process, policy, and technology. So let's talk about policy first, just to give folks a sense of really what falls under the federal marketplace. We are talking about exploring innovative legislation and policy reform that will support agility, transparency, and competition. One of those is promoting government-wide and other interagency contracts by removing outdated reporting requirements for contracting officers. Another is increasing competition at the task order level, which authorizes unpriced and indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity contracts for services, so that true competition can take place at the task order level. Emily talked about that as well. So both of these clauses are going to be able to eliminate the creation of duplicative contracts, increase opportunities for qualified suppliers to compete in the federal marketplace. So we'll continue to recommend additional legislative and regulatory changes that benefit both our customer agencies and our industry stakeholders, and that also reduce duplication and streamline processes. So if you take a look at process then, so that was policy. If you take a look at process, we'll have a long conversation about consolidation of schedules, but I also want to hit on a couple of other pilots that we're talking about in that area and that we're going to be working on that are really designed to increase transparency and competition. One of those is the eBuy Open pilot, and that is a one-year effort to study the effects of increasing eBuy transparency by releasing post-award RFQ information on Fed BizOps. So we hear that a lot from our suppliers, that that's a concern for them. Also, the Inform pilot, that stands for in-depth feedback through open reporting methods. So the goal of this is to improve post-award communication between GSA and our offerers who are looking to get on schedule by providing offerers with the information that they need to improve the quality of their future responses to their solicitations. So again, another issue that we are hearing from suppliers quite often. One other pilot that we are running right now is we're delving into emerging technologies and doing a little bit with robotic process automation. So we're using scripts to automate manual, repetitive, time-consuming, and high-volume FAS workforce tasks and processes. So one of those examples is like the pre-negotiation letter. We're starting to pull together some to automate some of those processes so that the process for issuing that pre-negotiation letter is easier. And then in the area of technology, we have a lot going on in the area of technology. The first that I'll mention is the contract writing system. Emily mentioned this during her comments. It is a system that will help internally our workforce, but in doing so, I think it'll provide a huge amount of simplification to both buyers and suppliers. So it's really about delivering a modern, efficient enterprise contract writing system. It's going to be designed to improve the quality, speed, and satisfaction, but while reducing the burden and the system's costs. Another technology project that we just kicked off has to do with catalog management. So it's really about enabling a more user-friendly, modern, efficient marketplace by allowing suppliers to integrate their catalogs with the FAS systems and processes. So, I think early on we recognized there was some issues, especially we got this feedback from buyers a lot, that the catalogs were, the quality of the data in the catalogs were a little spotty. So that project is intended to address that. So we understand that there's a lot of dependencies that exist among our systems and compatibility across technologies. So we're going to be looking at how to map out our processes very carefully and then make sure that we've got integrated technology underneath that supports those. So we've got a lot of work ahead, but we're excited. We're up for the challenge, and I'm going to close my remarks here. But then I first want to emphasize my sincere appreciation to everyone for your participation at this event today. We're looking forward to answering your questions and exchanging ideas throughout the day. We will be capturing questions that are coming from the audience. We'll also be capturing questions coming in online. We will try to address as many as we can today. If we can't, we just know that we will be capturing them, and we will be trying to address them as we go through our work. This is a top priority for us, engaging our stakeholders. We want to make sure that we're providing opportunities for this type of interaction as we, throughout the year as we go through this. And we're here today to listen and to answer questions, to have an open, honest dialogue, and would love to work with you in designing and delivering sort of this future-ready government marketplace together.